Good afternoon, good evening, and to those of you watching from Australia, Happy Easter. I am your Heavenly Father, and you are watching the live stream. We chat truth to power. If you want to get in the chat room, go ahead. If you don't want to chat, that's fine too. If you can't figure out how to chat, I don't blame you. It's confusing. Can everyone hear me? My mic is turned on. It doesn't look like my audio feed is coming through on one end. If you can hear me, say, I hear you. I hear you, Heavenly Father. It sounds like a prayer. Welcome to my church. Instead of the Eucharist, we get ribs. It's good stuff. I would have the best church. I would have the Church of Barbecue. That's what I would have. Thank you, Danielle. Danielle's one of our moderators, so we appreciate Danielle. We appreciate all of our moderators. Speaking of moderators, we have some fucks and friends here from this morning. Ribs. Yes, ribs. We're going to take Trump through the day piece by piece. I think we'll start with Fucks and Friends, which is the first thing he did this morning. And then we have him in the Oval Office talking about this peace accord that he's put together. And then there are some helicopter moments coming up later in the day, and we'll look at those as well. I don't even know where he's going. Biden is down in Florida doing stuff, so great. Chuck, welcome. And I did get your email, Chuck, about Patreon, and I will respond to that when I get a chance. If you'd like to be a new patron like Chuck, we would love it. Go to kevinlyfather.com, and you can become a patron there. And then every month, they send a little money from you to me and help me do things like this. I'm not working right now. I haven't worked since the pandemic. I've been trying. But really, I've been working for you. I mean, quite literally, that's the way it's been going. And with the $600 being gone from unemployment and being cut in half, I'm at your mercy. I'm begging you for money because I don't have any pride. So I got to just say this though. Even at these moments when I feel like, what the hell, I'm doing so much and so little is coming out of it, and I know that's not true. But we get these feelings. We have these self-doubts. Today I was listening and I heard my daughter, Heavenly daughter, and she asked Alexa to do something. And it was far enough away that I couldn't really hear what she was saying. I just heard like, you know when someone's talking to Alexa, because you hear this like, Alexa, turn on for Tammy. And then, oh, okay, she's doing Alexa. You can tell when someone's speaking to an Alexa. At least I can tell when my daughter's speaking to Alexa. And I hear this. Alexa, turn on for Tammy. Thank you. So I think I've raised good kids. At least one good kid. I think I've left the world a slightly better place, if not smellier, than I came into it. So I feel good about that. And I feel good that I'm sharing with all of you. Congratulations on being first today, Stephanie. It's a big deal. Let's get on to Mr. Trump on Fox and Friends this morning. Let's check the volume levels, and we'll go from there.
Well, I think they see what's happening, and a lot.
This is not Fox and Friends. This is Fox and Friends right here.
Probably mostly on Monday. We're going to do it mostly on Monday, and if we have to, too.
So they're going to have their weekly. He's going to be a phone-in. Years ago, he used to call into Fox and Friends once a week. And he came up with some doozies. Those are some wonderful episodes to watch because it's insane. It's all about birtherism and how great everything is for Trump. And one of the birtherism episodes, I could talk about this for 5 hours. So we're going to get right to it.
We'll see how it goes.
Yesterday we were out in a different part of the world.
I know. Let's talk about that. But I do want to say, we're going to see how that goes. And we've also invited Joe Biden to come on our show, too, many times, Mr. President.
But he has not called us
back. I don't think he'll do it. I have a feeling he's not going to do it. He's going to.
But Biden should absolutely go on their show. Absolutely.
Need a teleprompter, and you don't want to give the answers early. You know, he's getting the answers from the fake news.
By the way, Biden has spent much of the day answering questions. He did a roundtable with veterans in Florida, and now pretty soon he's going to be doing a roundtable with Hispanics. If you see that Biden is broadcasting, let me know, and maybe we'll jump over there and take a look. Hi, Noel.
News. I mean, it's hard to believe. The whole thing is crazy. I've never seen it. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They give him the questions, and then he reads the answers, and everybody knows he's doing it, and nobody says it.
No.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, you can
I
watch.
should try that sometime. I'm going to do that. Let's see
Oh,
if
please
they
do.
You have a teleprompter. You don't use it. You kind of wing it in your live
You have a teleprompter. You don't use it. He does.
events. But the one thing you just watched, Mr. President, because you do watch the news, you see what's happening now.
How can he say that? How can Brian Kilmeade say that Trump doesn't use his teleprompters? How?
Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. What do they tell you, and what could you tell our audience about what to expect now?
Well, it's not what it was the one a month ago. That was really bad, and we got very lucky. That was really big coming in, but it went through an area that didn't have as much stuff as the expression goes. You know, when it starts going through city areas and cities, and that happens too. But we did a great job with that one last time. We got a little bit lucky, both in Texas and in Louisiana, because it got pieces of both that weren't heavily occupied.
They got lucky with that one. That is true. Nature does its thing. On the other hand, when Biden and Obama got lucky with the H1N1 flu dissipating throughout the summer, they're to blame for it. That somehow it's their fault for getting lucky. But when the president gets lucky, it's fine. Moving on.
Occupied, but it still does tremendous damage. This one is smaller, but it's a little bit more direct. But we have it under control. We have FEMA there. We have the Army Corps.
It is not under control. It is not under control. It is a fucking hurricane. But, oh, no, everything's under control. Not that Trump ever downplays anything.
Engineers is all that. They can bring things back so fast you wouldn't believe it. And they're great. The Coast Guard.
At Random yesterday thanked Google for setting an alarm. I think I've done a good job. My phone just set an alarm. Awesome. Hoisted by my own retard. And I apologize to you if those of you at home were watching and you heard that Amazon word and your Amazon machine went nuts. I apologize. But that's not going to stop me from doing this. Alexa, set volume to 10. Alexa, play Superstitious by Stevie Wonder. It's a good song. You can't get mad at me for that.
Guard is always involved. The Coast Guard is an MVP. They've done so good. They've saved so many lives. You wouldn't believe how many people are out there when these storms come in. Some people go storm watching in boats. It's like, you know, why are they doing that? But the Coast Guard is incredible what they do and the amount of lives they saved. If you remember Texas 2 years ago,
Yep.
They saved 6.
I remember when you said you would run into a school shooting unarmed. I remember that, sir. But no, people in boats.
6,000 lives. It's just not even believable, the numbers. Right. And they've been fantastic. So we have it under watch very strongly, and FEMA's there long ago, actually, a couple of days
As long as they're watching it very strongly, I feel goodly about it. Really, really goodly.
ago before it hit. And they're doing a real job. And they're out in the California fires. I was there yesterday with them, and they're out in...
So that footage could be literally anytime, anywhere, near an ocean. It's just a bird standing there. I don't know how windy that makes it seem, but yeah.
The fires, and it's California, Washington, and Oregon.
Very
Washington
superstitious.
State. And they're out there, and these are really incredible people, and very brave, very brave.
Yeah, they certainly.
Oh, Allison, don't tell her to stop. Enjoy the song. You probably haven't heard in a while. Bum 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 bum. That's a great song. I could have told her to play It's Raining Men.
Are and they are up against it with these two gigantic
Okay, fine. Alexa, play It's Raining Man.
jobs facing them. Mr. President, we'll talk about the wildfires in a moment, but you know, I think the number one story over the last 5 or 6 days has been the comments that you made to Bob Woodward regarding how you had downplayed the pandemic to the people because you didn't want to freak them out.
Those are the exploding trees.
Panic on your hands.
Wait. You're talking about the Bob Woodward book now.
One story over the last 5 or 6 days has been the comments that you made to Bob Woodward regarding how you had downplayed the pandemic to the people because you didn't want to freak them out.
It's like, what? I think Kilmeade like cleared his throat right there, like, X-play on the own playing day. We don't say that part out loud. We just say that you didn't want to panic the people. We don't mention the fact that he downplayed it to the American people.
Fires in a moment, but I think the number one story over the last 5 or 6 days has been the comments that you made to Bob Woodward regarding how you had downplayed the pandemic to the people because you didn't want to freak them out. You didn't want panic on your hands. I think a lot of your supporters are going, why on earth would the President of the United States sit down and talk to Bob Woodward something like 18 times on tape?
Well, because I assumed he was a little bit fair. I didn't do it previously. He only writes bad books. And I actually got to read it last night. I read it very quickly, and it was very boring.
Next time Kilmeade makes fun of Joe Biden for coughing into his hand, he just did it.
But there was not
Is
much
it
in
accurate,
that book.
Mr. President?
That's a boring book. It's okay. I mean, it's fine. I don't want to create panic. You know, people say, oh, you should have gone out there and say, jumped up and down. You're going to die. You're going to die. No, I don't want to do that.
Nope, no one has said that. No one has said that.
I don't want to build it up and up.
No, nobody wants to see Trump jumping up and down. The guy can't handle a ramp.
I'll say it right now. We're rounding the turn on the pandemic. We're rounding the turn. I was in Arizona yesterday. The numbers are very good. If you look at Texas is coming down. Florida is doing great. Places that were really a problem. The East Coast is doing great. I was with Gavin Newsom yesterday. His numbers are getting very low. We're doing good, and we have a vaccine coming very shortly. The vaccine's going to be here very soon, and we've already got therapeutics with remdesivir and
That's a completely different pronunciation, but yeah.
The things, the plasma.
Remdesivir.
We've had a tremendous number of people that get better now that didn't get better 3 months ago.
Mr.
frankly.
President, what about the critics who say that you're putting pressure on the federal government to approve a vaccine so you can have an October surprise and so that people will feel like, okay, we finally got this, we got a grip on the pandemic, there is a vaccine?
Yeah, I'm not doing it for political reasons. I want the vaccine fast. If this were...
Marcy says, I'm a fast redder. It went up. I'm a fast redder.
Like I call it the O'Biden. If this were the O'Biden administration, you wouldn't have a vaccine for years because they would have taken 2 or 3 years. I've speeded up the process with the FDA.
Sped up.
They've been great. Dr. Hahn has been great, the head of the FDA. Alex Azar has been fantastic. You know, it's been incredible what we've done because we're going to have a vaccine in a matter of weeks. It could be 4 weeks. It could be 8 weeks, but
it will not be 4 weeks. We will not have a vaccine by October 15th. The closest estimate that the most optimistic estimate that has come out so far has been Pfizer, who's doing it without the government involvement or investment, and they've said it's possible that they could have one at the end of October, but then, of course, it has to be approved. And that takes time.
We're going to have it. We're getting very good results, and it's really looking good. And they're great companies, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna. We have...
Stephanie, everybody just read what Stephanie just wrote, because she just owned herself, and it was beautiful.
A lot of great companies. It's not just one, and they're all doing really well. It's going to be soon. Now, will it be before the election? It could be in terms of we have something, and we'll start delivering it immediately upon getting it. But we're very close to getting the vaccine, and that's something I look forward to. And I think it would be so good for the world, not just for us, for the world. Now, you have other people looking for vaccines.
But we are not cooperating with the rest of the world in terms of developing vaccines. That we have the opportunity to. With the World Health Organization, there is a COVID vaccine cooperative, and the U.S. has declined to be part of it. Because, humanity.
We'll see how they do, and we're working in conjunction with them. But
we are not.
Very soon. We're also going to have additional therapeutics. We have some great things, and we have some great things in store. in development right now. So I think we're really going to do something very special. We'll see what happens. But if this were another administration, you would have been talking about 2 years, if you're lucky, before you got to this point.
One more question on the pandemic really quickly, because I know we want to get to the deputy shooting and we want to get out to the California wildfires. But I was flipping around different stations last night, and there were all these shots of you in Nevada, in Henderson, Nevada, and they were all saying they were critical of you for ignoring the public health professionals' warnings against the indoor gatherings during the pandemic. And then I know some people in your administration have responded and said, why weren't you critical of the rioters that were shoulder to shoulder and not wearing masks? What do you say?
Well, I do say that, but I'll tell you, we had...
I think everyone has been critical of the rioters. No one has been endorsing the rioters. Not a person. Not one. Not in national media, anyway. I mean, the rioters, to be fair, the rioters themselves are probably quite pro-riot. I'm assuming. But nobody in national media that she was flipping around through last night has endorsed the riots.
4 sites or 5 sites, a lot of sites, outdoor sites. I had it the night before. We were in Minden. We were right outside of Reno. And we had a tremendous crowd there, probably 30,000, close to 30,000 people.
The capacity is 5,000.
We had more people outside that couldn't get in. But we had this big open site, and it was great. The governor of the state tried to make it impossible for us to have a rally, Democrat.
And yet you had one.
Rather liberal Democrat and a political hack. And he tried to make it difficult. And we had this one side, a great supporter. He said, I don't care. The pressure was put on him. And we had an unbelievable rally. We were outside. Then we had another one scheduled the following day in Las Vegas. And it was terrible because we kept getting, he wouldn't allow sites, and he followed us. I mean, this guy was doing everything, and his people were doing everything possible. We had outdoor sites, and this whole thing was planned. So then finally we got from a great supporter, gave us this very big building, and they put people in. But that wasn't our fault. We had 4 outdoor sites, maybe even 5 outdoor sites. And he wouldn't allow it to happen. Now,
so you had to go indoors. I'm sure he's going to mention that the very next day in Arizona, he went indoors with the Republican governor in charge, Ducey. No relation, so far as I know. Could be. But we watched it. The little sit with the Hispanics things he did, that was indoors and crowded with no social distancing whatsoever. And very few masks. But the governor of Nevada made him go indoors. They didn't want to do it.
That's going to be in charge of the ballots, okay? You think
the governor's not in charge of the ballots, Secretary of State.
You think that's fair? It's millions of ballots are going out. He's the governor of the state. Do you think it's a fair thing? Because I'm winning that state easily. But the one thing he can't beat if they cheat on the ballots. Now, he'll cheat on the ballots. I have no doubt about it.
He's not winning that state easily.
This is the same man who's in charge of the ballots.
No, it's not.
You're talking about the governor.
Ballots, or the solicitor, the governor.
The Secretary of State. Now, one of these 3 people, one of them, again, I'm assuming, and I'm giving them a lot more credit than they deserve, one of these 3 fucks and friends knows that Secretaries of States, it's both correct. That the SOSs, that the SOBs, most of whom are Republican, by the way, including in Nevada, it's the Republican Secretary of State, they're in charge of the ballots, not the governors.
The governor's in charge.
So I'm sure one of them's about to interrupt him and say, sir, respectfully.
Judge, they followed us everywhere they had a site. My people told me they've never seen anything like it. Every place we had a big open site, outdoor site, which is great. It would have been perfect. They said no. So we had to go someplace. We ended up in a very big building, but I would have preferred being outside like we were the night before. But the night before, it was amazing that...
And the next day you were inside on purpose.
We got it because they were trying to break it up. This is what we're up against. This is what's happening, and it's a disgrace.
Right.
And you're going to see something with these ballots. You're going to see corruption like you've never seen. You're going to see a rigged election. This guy would do anything, and he's in charge of the ballots.
But you have an attorney general.
Governor with that kind of a take in charge?
Currently, the A+ poster, CNN College, New York Times upshot poll of Nevada has Biden up by 4. It doesn't tell me the margin of error on the site that I'm looking at. September 1st, he was up by 5. May 6th, he was up by 4. Consistently, in different polls. Consistently, Biden has been up in that state. But Trump is winning it bigly. And, you know, the governor's going to harvest ballots or something.
The ballots. So you can have millions of ballots.
Yeah.
The man that tried to prevent us from getting a site, and he's the man that forced us inside.
Right. But
Forced you inside in Arizona the next day as well. Sad.
But do you think that in retrospect, Carl Bernstein called you a homicidal president who put together a homicidal assembly by bringing people indoors without masks? A lot of them chose not to wear masks in the middle of a pandemic. What's your response?
Well, I mean, I know Carl Bernstein a little bit. He's a nut job. He's been a nut job for many years. He was the second wing. I don't have a lot.
Yeah, that brought down Nixon. He was one of the 2 men that brought down a president of the United States. Are you going to mention that, or are we going to stop halfway through that thought?
Of respect for either of them, frankly, but he was a total nut job, and I see him, and he'll say anything.
He thinks better of continuing on to the fact that they brought down Nixon. That's the second wing of
no matter what
of Watergate. The second wing of Watergate, whatever the fuck that means.
he did. Like today, I'm doing a great deal with Israel, the UAE, and Bahrain. Everyone said it was impossible. No matter what you do with some of the fake news, doesn't make any difference. This one is great. Sort of interesting, and I don't say this in a braggadocious way, but I get nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice last week on 2 different deals. The other was Kosovo, Serbia, but I get nominated for that, and in this case, Israel.
By the way, the Nobel Peace Committee does not release information on nominations for 50 years. So in 50 years, we'll find out if he actually was nominated twice.
It wasn't even on the nightly news. Can you imagine when Obama
It was on the nightly news.
Was nominated? By the way, he didn't do anything. He got it very quick, and they couldn't even explain what he did, which was a joke.
Quickly.
But when he got nominated, it was all over the news. You know, it's like it's a very different standard. But Carl Bernstein's a dummy. He's a dumb guy, and Woodward's book
Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Carl Bernstein is a dummy.
last night I read it. It's
Again, this is the president jamming people into an interior space with no social distancing, very few masks, during a pandemic with 200,000 Americans dead under his watch. And Carl Bernstein's a dummy. So you know.
like lightweight reading, and he doesn't get it. When my policies turn out to be right, as they have with Israel, we're going to have a lot of other countries joining us very soon, by the way. They're going to all go in, and then we'll have peace in the Middle East, and we'll have it. We're doing it through the back door. They've never thought of it before with all this talk.
That's a good question, Noel. Some Fox News programs broadcast that, yes.
They never thought of it before, and we're getting accolades. Even the New York Times and Tom Friedman said, "That's great. That's great." They gave us I don't know. You can't get a better review than they gave us on this. They like what we've done here, and with no death, we haven't had death. There's not been fighting. In fact, we're bringing our troops back home from the ridiculous, endless wars. They're all coming home. And
they are not all coming home. There has been no unilateral pullout of all forces.
And they should be home. It's enough. They've been there for years. They've been there for 19 years. In Afghanistan for 19 years. It's ridiculous.
Well, Mr. President,
so we're getting great accolades, but you know.
So he just telegraphed what he's going to do to the Taliban during peace negotiations with the Taliban.
So the news doesn't cover it. The Bernstein book was really boring, I have to tell you.
Well, it wasn't Bernstein's book. It was Woodward's.
And
the Bernstein book, he might have been thinking about the thing you read about the bears, how one of them was late for school and little sister bear anyway, I don't want to confuse the issue. I can't bear this.
Book and Bernstein's book, I read a Bernstein book. The guy can't
Did
write.
you? Did you?
Woodward's book to me was a very boring. It was a very boring. It was inaccurate. Let's put it this way: no matter what you did, it was.
Just a few minutes ago, he just called it fine. It was okay. It was fine.
Going to be negative, but I wanted to give it a shot. I didn't devote much time, but I wanted to devote time. Last time,
Didn't devote much time to reading the whole thing, so you didn't read the book.
I didn't talk to him, and it was a bad book.
Do you regret it?
It was a bad book that he didn't read.
Well, last time I regretted it because I didn't talk to him once. I didn't talk to him one time, and it was a bad book. This time, I talked. Well, I wanted to see if it could be done. You know, I mean, the guy's a negative. Guy's a Democrat. Works with the Washington Post. I mean, that tells you right there, which is truly a. You know, I call it the
Jeff
I guess
Bezos.
You could say it's the flunky for Amazon, but it works for the Washington.
Remember, Jeff Bezos bought. Jeff Bezos didn't have any money when Woodward was working for the Washington Post and took down Nixon. Woodward's, got to be in his 70s, 78, almost 80 now? But yeah, Jeff Bezos had nothing to do with Woodward's outlook on life.
Washington Post. You know all about the Washington Post.
I know that they have full editorial control without the interference of Bezos, yes.
You don't get a break with them. But look, you if you want to remain sane, just don't read it because what they do is disgraceful.
Yeah, they took down Nixon. They took down the corrupt Richard Nixon, who cheated on an election. Disgraceful? Okay.
What's happened to the news, what's happened to the media in this country is a terrible thing. It's a shame. And it's really, much of it is absolutely the enemy of the people. And they see it. And nobody said it like I say it, but I say it loud and clear. It's the enemy of the people. Whether it's the New York Times, Washington Post, or the networks. Think of it. You get nominated for
Mr. President, we're part of the...
One of the things Trump knows is that there's a 2-week limit on everything. In interest, on outrage. We've had our 2 weeks of outrage on him saying that the press, the Fifth Estate, the First Amendment, that it is an enemy of the people. How could you say that? We all said for a few days. We've moved on. And now he just says it regularly. Brags about being the one who says it. And it's just, okay.
Press too. Are we the enemy of the people?
No, you're not. No, I would say about 20% isn't. We don't have the enemy of the people all over, fortunately. But we have tremendous disparity. You have tremendous unfairness in the press. It's I came up with a name
disparity?
a long time ago. It's the fake news media, and you have to live with it. And one of the great things that I have such a big social media presence that I can get around. I can get the word out, and my presence too. I can.
He says to the Fox News hosts,
do things that other people can't do. So I get the word out, but. The media is very, very fair. The media is very corrupt, actually.
Yes, Stephanie, but the virus is the invisible enemy, whereas I can see these guys.
So let's talk about the hero, the L.A. deputy, that female. She's 31 years old. She was shot in the jaw. She put a tourniquet around her partner. That they were both shot. Sitting there in their car, ambushed, and it was all caught on camera. She puts a tourniquet on her partner, and then she tries to call for help. It's not really audible, but finally they got her message, and she was saying 998, so that she was calling for help because both officers were down, and she was doing her best to save the life of her partner. She was a former librarian. She's a mother to a 6-year-old child, and she really just wanted to be a police officer. Her dad was called, and her dad said she is in stable condition, but the leading investigative officer has said by the grace of God, both of them are going to pull through, but will be life-altering for both of them. Have you talked to her?
I don't know how you get shot in the head and survive. Anywhere. Although from the side, and how... God, that's got to be insanely painful. You ever poke your eye? You're down. That's it. You're out.
Family, and how do we fix this problem? Because it's something that's concerning to everyone in our country. Do we need to go into these communities? Do we need to send these officers and these chiefs of police into these communities to work with them? Do we hire police officers within the communities to monitor their neighborhoods? What do we do?
We have to get much tougher.
Tougher. That's what it is.
Weak
tougher
and soft with a lot of the Democrat-run cities, and you're not seeing this. You take a look at the cities. The top 10 are Democrat-run. The top 25 are, I think, almost all Democrat.
He didn't say violent cities. So, yeah, the top 10 cities are all Democrat-run.
and their policies are
top
horrible.
25.
They've taken respect away from police officers. They've degraded them. They've fired them. You look at New York, they fired a tremendous number of police, and crime is through the roof, but they fired them. They make it so that if you speak up, you end up losing your pension, you end up losing your job. And they've taken what they do so well, like New York's finest. They endorse me. Chicago police just endorsed.
Someone want to fact check that? Has the New York Police Department actually endorsed it, or is it a union or something else? Because last time he said that, or since he's been saying that, we checked before, and no, NYPD had not endorsed Trump. So the retired officer, something we found, it was something else, but it wasn't the NYPD.
Me, it's not easy for them to do because of the leadership in the cities, but they endorsed me. New York endorsed me. So many endorsed me. Texas, Florida, Ohio. Right. We're endorsed.
And it's weird too because Biden hasn't come out endorsing the shooter of the police officers. You would think, because this is what he wants. Here's the thing: the shooter did it in Compton, which isn't the suburbs. The shooter should have done it in Orange County, and then Biden would come out full-throated. I can't. Oh dear, the things I don't say.
By almost everybody. I can't imagine anybody endorsing Biden with his views. I mean, his views are death. He doesn't have any views. I don't think he knows he's alive.
Yeah, he seems to be slowly coming around to it. Yesterday you were out on the West Coast.
Yeah, because that's how you win an election. Boat parades. Have I shown you guys that tweet that I've got ready to go? It's for when the winner is announced on election night, except it's not going to be election night. When the winner is when the election is called, I have a tweet ready to go. And the tweet says, it's in my drafts on Twitter. I'll show you. You guys remember 2016? Boy, what a time. What a time. Here is the tweet that is ready to go. No, it's not, because I had to reload Twitter. It's a terrible ending to that story. That's correct. It is a terrible ending to that story. And the tweet is, but the boat parades. In other words, Biden's going to win, and then but we had so many Okay, if I have to explain it.
Travel the country, then you went to Arizona, but you sat there with Governor Newsom and you listened to what the problem was, and he was thankful to you for all the help you gave him and as quick as you gave it. And I think it's heartening for the American people to see two people who differ on taxes and the environment and other things, but get along personally. But here's the other thing I want to ask you. In 2009, you endorsed action on climate change. You made it clear the Green New Deal is too extreme. What is the right way to react to climate change within reason, without destroying the economy? If you did say and did notice, even back then, there was something going on.
Well, look, Ryan, you have forests all over the world. You don't have fires like you do in California,
Yep, there are forest fires all around the world.
In Europe, they have forest cities. You look at countries, Austria. You look at so many countries. They live in the forest. They're considered forest cities. So many of them.
What is a forest city? Is that a thing?
And they don't have fires like this. And they have more explosive trees. They have trees that will catch easier. But they maintain their fire. They have an expression. They thin the fuel. The fuel is what's on the ground. The leaves, the trees that fall, they're dry. They're like a matchstick. After 18 months, if they're underground longer than 18 months, they're very explosive, and they have to get rid of that stuff.
And I think
there's no evidence in Austria of people living in forest cities. It's not what they call them.
Didn't the governor agree with you on that? Didn't the governor agree with you on that? And having said that...
No, he didn't. Originally, he didn't when I first brought it up 2 years ago. And
you guys seemed to yesterday.
He did.
But just to follow up on that, if you do think, whether it's man-made or not, if the climate is changing, and the number one issue for people under 35 is climate change, like it or not, and in 2009, you were there saying, I think something needs to be done.
Thank you, Rich. The New York City Police Benevolent Association. Yes.
What is the right answer if the Green New Deal is too extreme?
Well, you want to clean up your plans.
And the New York State Police Investigators Association. Yeah.
You want to clean up your auto pollution. You want to clean up a lot of things. Remember, we have a little problem called other countries, and they don't follow suit. Like China sends up tremendous filth into the air and into our oceans, by the way. India, likewise. Russia, likewise. So we're doing all of this stuff. We're one piece, but we're like 5%, and you have other countries, these are massive countries.
5% of the world's population, 25% of the emissions.
That have not done what they should be doing.
That's a figure from a couple of years ago. We've probably come down since then. 17 and 18, we went up 3%. Last year, we were down 3%. That's because, remember how Trump was going to bring back coal? Well, coal production and usage has been plummeting in this country, overtaken by natural gas, which is cheaper and also a little cleaner than coal. No matter how much you take the beautiful coal and you clean it, still natural gas is better and cheaper when you frack it. However, the fracking releases methane gas, which is 20 times heavier than carbon, and blah, 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 blah. The bottom line is we're still doing a lot of carbon emissions. But last year was slightly better. This year will be much, much better because, of course, the economy slowed down. And who's going anywhere? But he'll take credit for that.
So we can clean it up, but you're still having a lot of stuff because of places like China. Right. And frankly, Russia, and also...
And us, and frankly, us.
India in particular. And they send very, very dirty particulates up into the air, and you talk about the carbon footprint.
What?
They do big numbers on the carbon footprint.
I don't know how that happened.
Look, what I want
to know what a particulate is.
And also India in particular. And they send very, very dirty particulates up into the air, and
Is that a word? We're going to look that up right now. Particulates. Particulates. They sound delicious. Nope, there's no such word as particulates. I didn't think so.
Talk about the carbon footprint. They do big numbers on the carbon footprint. And so, look, what I want absolutely immaculate clean water. I want clean air. I want perfect clean air. And by the way, we have it. We have really good clean air. We have good clean water, better than we had before.
Right now, the Western United States has the worst air in the world. Trust me, I'm looking out at it right now. I can't see very far in it, so that's a bonus.
We have better than we had before. You know, in carbon, we have less carbon now going up into the air than they had under the Obama administration. We do things a different way, but we're doing a great job, and we're not putting our businesses out of business. You know, a lot of the things they want to do would put our businesses right out of business. We wouldn't be be competitive as a country anymore. And there are people that don't care about that. They say that's okay, put everybody out of business. They really don't care. The Green New Deal is a farce. The Green New Deal would really cost $100 trillion. That's more money than we could make in 100 years. It's ridiculous, and it would put us. Our factories would be closed. Our businesses would be closed. It's ridiculous. You know that.
Well, Mr. President, whenever there is something in the news, Joe Biden does emerge from his compound to make a statement. He was in Wilmington. He was in Wilmington, Delaware yesterday. Super socially distanced.
He's always in Wilmington, Delaware.
Well, that's absolutely pretty accurate. He's out kind of in an open field.
Is it though?
Like 20
Is it? Because sometimes he is not in Wilmington, Delaware, like today.
Feet apart, very socially distanced. He had some harsh words for you, called you a climate arsonist, and said this as well. Watch.
This is another crisis he won't take responsibility for. If you give a climate arsonist 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised if we have more America ablaze? If you give a climate denier 4 more years in the White House, why would anyone be surprised when more of America is underwater?
Yay! Congratulations, Portland, 307.
Hurricanes don't swerve to avoid red states or blue states. Wildfires don't skip towns that voted a certain way.
That's right. The only way you can change a trajectory for a hurricane is a Sharpie. Give it a little, get a little right there on top.
The impacts of climate change don't pick and choose.
And you have commented on climate change, Mr. President. But, you know, just the optics of him finally...
Cynic, it's particulates. He said particulates, not particulates. Everybody knows what a particulate is. He said particulates.
Leaving his house to go out and make a public statement. In the last week, I haven't counted your events, but it's been a lot. Joe Biden has only done a couple, and I have heard some Democrats criticize Biden and the campaign and saying it looks like Trump is outworking us. Is that your strategy right now, at this stage of the game before the debates, to just get out there, get everywhere while Joe Biden picks and chooses?
Well, today we're doing the big event in a little while with Israel, and that was something that was really special. But you look at Biden, he's reading notes and he's reading teleprompters all the time, and he doesn't read them well. And during interviews, he's doing an interview. And
This is the guy saying he doesn't read teleprompters well.
He's reading I saw it 2-3 weeks ago. I said, I think he's reading a teleprompter. They're asking him a question, and I watched, and
he wasn't.
Then when his guy gets asked about that, he makes a fool out of himself, and he can't answer the question because he knows it's true.
It was a yes or no question. It would have been easy to answer.
Yeah, TJ Ducklow is terrible. I haven't seen him on the air since he did an interview with, I think it wasn't Brett Hume. It was it Brett Hume? Hand that touched the bell by mistake? Anyway, come on. Brett Baer. TJ Ducklow is an absolute asswipe. I don't know why they ever allowed him on the air, and if he continues to be on the air for the Biden campaign, Biden will lose the election because of it.
No, I've never seen anything like it. Nobody has. The man is shot. Let's face it. We can't have a man who's shot because you know who's not shot? Putin, President Xi, Kim Jong-un. They're not shot. They're world-class chess players. This guy is shot. Everyone knows it. And, we can't lead an economy. Look at our economy. We have a record stock market.
Did he say he can't or we can't?
And who's shot? Because you know who's not shot? Putin, President Xi, Kim Jong-un. They're not shot. They're world-class chess players. This guy is shot. Everyone knows it. And, we can't lead an economy. Look at our...
He said we can't lead an economy.
We have a record stock market. Another good day today. We have a record stock market. We have a record everything. We're back to where we were. The 401ks,
right?
They'll crash with this guy. I mean, he wants to raise interest rates. He wants to raise them very high, $4 trillion worth of interest rates cuts. You'll lose every business. You'll close down every business. You'll lose your jobs. People are going to be paying so much in taxes.
Like just what happened right now under your leadership?
He wants to raise taxes. He wants to see higher interest rates, higher. He wants to see taxes where he wants $4 trillion in tax increases. And you can't do that, Steve and Brian and Ainsley. You can't do that. You'll destroy this thing. We're gonna have a great new year. Now we're gonna have a big number come out. That's third quarter. It's going to be a very, very extraordinary number. It's going to be a record setter in all respects. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and that'll be...
No, it will be. I mean, we've never lost 33% of the GDP in a quarter before. So, yeah, we can't help but have a record number, of course. Will we be back to where we were? No.
It's very bad that I'm saying this, but I know that's what I do. You're going to have an incredible number coming out just before the election, literally 2 days before the election. And I'd rest my hat on that. Watch what happens. Watch how good it's going to be. And next year, we're going to have a great year. But if somebody comes in and raises taxes and lets interest rates go up to a much higher level, that would be a disaster for this country. We also borrow money. This was very bad because it took $3 trillion, maybe $4 trillion, to settle the problem where we have...
Let's flash back to how good he is at predicting things.
Up new plants. Most of you have written about Toyota came back in. We have...
This is 2017. If you remember, in 2017, the GDP per growth rate was going up from Obama. And let's see what happened and what Trump said would happen.
Previously, this is far beyond what anybody thought we would be at.
And remember, during the election, he bragged that we would go to 4, 5, 6% GDP or even higher. This is after the election. This is in 2017.
So we're at 3.3% GDP. I see no reason why we don't go to 4, 5, and even 6%.
And we never hit 3 again. We fell. We never hit 3% on a year. And the last quarter was 2.3%. 2.3%. But he is so good at predicting what's going to happen because 4, 5, 6%, or maybe even higher.
And I don't want to go beyond that because then I'll be criticized if we don't hit it.
Why would anyone criticize you for predicting beyond 6% GDP growth? Why? Why would someone do, what kind of an asshole would do that? Because you know what? I'm sure that 7% GDP will happen this next quarter. It's probably happening right now because we lost 33%.
You know, and I do believe we are rounding the turn, including with.
Oh, goodbye.
The embassy move to Jerusalem.
I did not do that. Hold on. Let's see if we can get it back. Come on. So YouTube TV's not cooperating with us.
Said to cause an explosion.
It's showing me 3 a.m. Fox and Friends, but then this is obviously live. This is right now. So I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let me try one more time. Okay, we're going to close that window. We're going to leave this window open. We're going to go back to Fox and Friends. Give me a moment, please. Kitty porn, kitty porn, kitty porn. There we go. And waiting. 1 ringy dingy. 2 ringy dingies. Let's go back to watching. Resume watching. Fox and Friends. See if it works.
Settle the problem where
Yeah.
we have, you know, and I do believe we are rounding the turn, including without the vaccine. I think we're rounding the turn. With the vaccine, it's going to be great. But to get this horrible curse off our back, we had to spend trillions of dollars, and we've kept it going really well. And we could use additional stimulus, but Nancy Pelosi won't approve it because she thinks it's bad for me in the election. Well, I think we're doing very well. I think it's bad for her not to approve it because everyone knows she's the one not approving it. But Joe isn't equipped to be president. He's shot.
So we have less than 2 months until the election, and a lot of people are really...
That's right. It's 50 days. 50 days until we wake up. It's the day after the election, and we find out that it's going to be another 30 to 40 days before we find out who's the president.
Excited to watch what's going to happen in 2 weeks, and that is the first debate. It is actually 2 weeks from today. It's in 2 Tuesdays. How do you prepare for the debates? Have you started your preparation? Do you just memorize what his voting record is, or do you do these mock debates and get people on your staff to stand behind the podium and act like they're Joe Biden? What do you do?
He doesn't do anything.
Well, I sort of prepare every day by just doing what I'm doing. I was
See?
in California.
I remember last time I've spent my whole life preparing for these debates. I've studied, so I study on TV. I study magazines.
Yesterday, I went to Arizona, which is doing great, by the way. The state is doing.
That's how to prepare for a debate. Go to Arizona.
It's booming, and done a really good job with the virus too. You know, it's down to very low.
Very low?
Excellent governor. Excellent in Texas. I've been to Texas over the last few days. I've been to Louisiana, Florida. I mean, I've been all over the place, and I watch this guy sitting home, and I say, maybe I'm doing it wrong. You know what? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. But he's got, he's got the press on his side.
Positivity rate in Arizona as of yesterday is 7.4%. Very low. 7.4%.
I have no idea. Somebody's going to have to explain that. You have a stock market crash if he got in. I tell you what, we have a headwind as good as our stock market is, and that's good for people because they own the stocks. I mean, everybody owns the stocks, but
Do we?
as good as it's in, we have a headwind, and the headwind is if he ever got in, the market will crash, and that's a headwind. The market would even be higher, but we're setting new records in the stock market, which is good for everybody. People are happy. We got this plague sent to us by China, courtesy of China, which is a disgrace because they could have stopped it, and they stopped
They should have sent it through the USPS. Never would have gotten here.
it from going into China, but they didn't stop it to Europe and to us and to the rest of the world. And they
Also a lie. They did spread to the rest of China.
should be ashamed of themselves.
On the debate, you had the experience of working with Chris Wallace as moderator. You just did an hour with him on Fox News Sunday, and you have the experience of competing for the presidency against Hillary Clinton. Right? First, set the scene. You know the style of Chris Wallace, and now you're able to study what Joe Biden's been doing for 47 years. What's going to be the greatest challenge here?
Well, I don't know which Biden is going to show up because I watched him during the debates where they had 20 people on the stage, and before they started culling it out, and I watched him, and he was a disaster. You don't get worse. He was grossly incompetent. Then I watched him against Bernie, and he was okay. He wasn't Winston Churchill, I can tell you that, but he was okay. He was fine. I said it was like an even debate. And so I said, what did he do? So, I mean, what happened to him all of a sudden? Because he was okay, and Bernie was okay. It was an extraordinarily boring debate, but he got through it. And I said, what's the difference?
Biden will debate. Biden's been looking forward to the debates, Lillian. What do you mean can't debate? Trump just said that he did fine against Bernie. So Trump disagrees with you.
Difference between now and some of those classic moments in the other debates, and something was strange, in my opinion. I won't say what, but a lot of people think that something happens, and you can't do that kind of stuff.
He's already said he thinks Biden took drugs for the debate against Bernie, and he's challenging Biden to a drug test. To which if I'm Biden, I say, yeah, I'll meet you there in 30 minutes. See you there. Let's go do it right now.
Just can't do
well,
that.
Mr. President, you have suggested that Joe Biden should take a drug test.
Yeah.
I do. I would take one too. Yeah, I would say he
you think he's taking some sort of
the 78-year-old taking drugs
to pep him up?
Got it from his friend Corn Pop.
I do. He's taking something. Or good.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get into it, but Trump just said he's taking something. He's taking something.
Some clarity or whatever.
Maybe it's a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Take a look at him. Yeah, maybe he had a lot of coffee. Maybe he had 15 cups of coffee. I'll tell you what, I've seen him in the debate with the other people, including Kamala, and nobody treated him worse than Kamala. He picked Kamala, and nobody treated him worse. Called him a racist, called him everything you
did not call him a racist, specifically said that he wasn't a racist.
Could be called. Then he says, I'm going to pick Kamala. And Kamala has her own problems. I mean, she went from 15 down to nothing. She dropped out before they got to Iowa. So I think she's not a good choice. I think she's compared to Mike Pence, who's been a great vice president. He's been a great vice president, and you guys know that very well. But no, I don't know. It's very strange. I think he should take a drug test.
So let's talk about Joe Rogan, he probably has the biggest podcast in the country. And
why? Why are we talking about Joe Rogan? What is the point to talking about Joe Rogan? Because he's got the big...
Who's on our show a lot, Army Ranger, he was a guest on the show, and they were talking about adding another debate, and he tweets this out, Tim does, on my podcast with...
Hold on, here it is. I'll bring it to you. Give me a second. Here it comes. Right here. This is reality in 3.
Now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist. Now direct this at Vice...
That's pretty clear, right, guys? There's no confusion there. Does she think that he's a racist? No, I do not think that you're a racist. No, she did not call him a racist. I don't know how that confuses anybody, but Trump is claiming that she called him a racist.
Joe Rogan, he offered to moderate a debate between Joe Biden and the real Donald Trump. It would be 4 hours with no live audience, just the
Who's
two
Donald Trump?
cameras and their vision of how to move this country forward. And then he asks, who wants this? #debates, #election 2020. Then you responded, I do. So you've accepted that. Joe Biden, no word on whether or not he would be interested in doing that Joe Rogan
Fun fact, Trump's campaign still hasn't accepted the regular debates.
Debate.
Joe is lost. Joe is lost. We can't have a president that's mentally lost. You know.
You mean Joe Biden? I thought you meant Joe Rogan at first. Joe Biden.
I'm talking about Joe Biden, yeah. I can take the gloves off because they put an ad on in the military where I'm standing over a grave and they made up a sentence that I said and I never...
A sentence?
You know.
You mean Joe Biden? I thought you meant Joe Rogan at first. Joe Biden.
I can take...
What?
No word on whether or not he would be interested in doing that Joe Rogan debate.
Joe is lost. Joe is lost. We can't have a president that's mentally lost, you know.
You mean Joe Biden? I thought you meant Joe Rogan at first. Joe Biden.
I can take. I'm talking about Joe Biden. Yeah, I can take the gloves off because they put an ad on in the military where I'm standing over a grave, and they made up a sentence that I said, and I never said it. And I have 25 people that were there that said he never said that. They made it up, and then they made it. This phony Atlantic magazine, which is a radical left Obama friend magazine.
Lillian, you should watch Joe today. We might take a look at it later. I don't think we're going to hit it because it's 4 o'clock, and I don't think I'm going to broadcast that long. But anyway, no, Joe's not lost. He's old. Yeah, he's 78. That is true. So good job. But he's not lost. He knows exactly where he is in terms of his position.
And they made up this horrible quote, and nobody's been better to the military than me. I've rebuilt the military. They're the greatest people. They had me saying a horrible thing.
The military is now 12% smaller than it was under Obama's peak. So that is a lie. It is smaller.
Over a grave that's been there for many, many years. And I was with other people. And they know it's a phony story, and yet they've made it. They know it's a total phony story. It's called disinformation. You make up a lie. They make up lies. They made up another one about Social Security, that I'm against Social Security. And I'm the one that saved it. They used to do the same thing the last time. They said, I'm going to destroy Social Security. I kept it.
Right.
I haven't touched it. But they made it up the last time. So they'll make up a lie and go with it. So these.
Well, no, he's already signed a deferment for the payroll tax. The payroll tax pays the Social Security fund. And he said that if he wins, he's going to forgive that deferment. So that will take away money from Social Security.
These are vicious people. So it gives me the right to take the gloves off and hit Joe because Joe's easy to hit. But, yeah, I would do it. I would do that, with Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan. I would do it with Joe Rogan, but I think Sleepy Joe won't. But I would certainly do it.
Mr. President, let's go back to the military for a second. General Mattis evidently has been critical of you as a leader in the Bob Woodward book, which you said is boring. But is it true you've taken strong actions against al-Baghdadi, you've taken against Soleimani, and is it true that after Assad gassed children for the second time, that it was you that wanted to take out Assad, that you had a good sight on him, and that it was General Mattis who talked you out of it? And
he's been asked this before, and he denied it.
If it is true, do you regret not
why would Kilmeade ask this question?
Taking him out, being that he's not, because he is a mass murderer?
I would have rather taken him out. I had him all set. Mattis didn't want to do it. Mattis was a highly overrated general, and I let him go. He worked for Obama. He got fired by Obama also, and I thought that was maybe just a fluke. Or maybe they had different views.
Wow. Here's the President of the United States saying that he wanted to assassinate a foreign leader. Not just a general, a foreign leader. That is a whole, yeah.
And he wanted the job very badly. I gave him the job. I didn't like him. I fired him. And he was
Remember in the interview with Bill O'Reilly at the Super Bowl where he said, "Do you think we're so innocent? We're supposed to be. We're supposed to be the good guys."
Terrible. To me, he was a terrible general. He was a bad leader. And he wasn't doing the job with ISIS. He was not doing the job in Syria or Iraq with respect to ISIS. I got rid of ISIS after he was gone. I did a great job on ISIS, 100% of the caliphate.
So if he was doing a terrible job with Syria and ISIS, why did you bring him into your administration? This is so dumb.
Got rid of him, took out Soleimani, as you know, took out al-Baghdadi. These are the two biggest terrorists. Al-Baghdadi founded ISIS.
Oh, is Joe Rogan an anti-Trumper as well? Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the Joe Rogan. I mean, it's not going to happen. It's pointless to talk about, but yeah, I mean, I would love to do a debate with him.
He says he was trying to build it again after I wiped it out. And I said, we have to fire him. He killed many, many people. And Soleimani likewise. Soleimani was the biggest of them all.
So do you regret not taking out Assad? And
we have to fire him?
Biggest terrorist, al-Baghdadi founded ISIS. He was trying to build it again after I wiped it out. And I said, we have to fire him. He killed many, many people. And
we have to fire him means we have to kill him?
Soleimani likewise. Soleimani was the biggest of them all.
So do you regret not taking out Assad? And was it because of Russia being allied with him is why you didn't do it? And do you regret not doing it?
No, I don't regret that. I could have lived either way with that. I considered him certainly not a good person, but I had a shot to take him out if I wanted, and Mattis was against it. Mattis was against most of that stuff. He'd keep you in military, but he didn't know how to win. He would keep you in military, but he had no concept as to win.
So he says he would keep you in military, which means it makes no sense. Then he's like, oh, this might be the way his brain works. I'm not sure when I say brain works, I'm using that loosely. So then he explains it. He keeps you in military. Again, he just says the same thing again.
We've had tremendous progress since then. If you look at what I had a shot to take him out if I wanted, and Mattis was against it. Mattis was against most of that stuff. He'd keep you in military, but he didn't know how to win. He would keep you in military, but he had no concept as to win. Right. We've had tremendous progress since then. If you look at what we've done with terrorists, and many other terrorists also, by the way, that you don't know, but with terrorists, by the way...
If there were other terrorists, Trump would let us know.
Rebuilding the military. We have completely rebuilt the military. $2.5 trillion, all made in the...
Lillian, I'm not putting any money on Trump this time. I knew he would win last time, and I lost friends because of it. Because I know how math works, but this time, no, I'm not seeing it yet. Not at all. Not unless TJ Ducklow becomes the spokesman and stays that way.
USA, our soldiers are now taken care of. Our vet, you look at what we've done at the VA, our vets are so thrilled. They gave a 91% approval rating the other day. 91%. It's never been anywhere close to that high. We got...
No, it's always been around the 90s. That's a complete lie.
All sorts of...
Well, not always, but yeah, no, it's been around the 90s many, many, many times. The vets are generally really happy with the care they get from the VA.
Things approved, including accountability and including choice. Obama had something...
Here's the thing, Lillian. I call balls and strikes. I call it like I see it. And some people get so upset last time that I was saying, no, Trump has a really good shot of winning. And then after September 11th, 2016, I called it. I said, no, Trump's going to win this thing. Trump is absolutely going to win this thing. And I was right. And I hate it. But I didn't lose all my friends, Lillian. See, that's so typical of a Trump supporter, is they take something you say and they extrapolate it into something you didn't say. I call it the chocolate vanilla syndrome. There's a certain faction of people, let's call them humans, where they will say, hey, do you like vanilla? And you'll say, oh yeah, vanilla's okay. And their response is, why do you hate chocolate? No, I didn't say that. That's a lot of what people are like in life. And it's just weird. I don't, humans must hear things so drastically different from each other. And I've been trying to figure out for years, what is that? You guys know what I'm talking about, and some of you might be that way. I don't know. Lillian, you're that way. How can you explain? Again, I don't choose to lose these friends, Lillian. These are these friends choosing to unfriend me because I say Trump will win. I'm just calling balls and strikes. I mean, I suppose I could not make predictions. But right, I said I lost friends, but I didn't lose all my friends. Why do you think that I lost all my friends, which is what you just said?
Proved it was so pathetic. Right. It didn't work. A weak form of choice. We had a very powerful form of choice, and our military's been great. They love me, and I love them. But
wait a second.
Mattis was not a good leader.
Hold on.
Including choice. Obama had something approved. It was so pathetic.
Right.
He finally admitted that Obama got the Choice Act approved, which he now calls so pathetic. It was not. There were some enhancements or amendments made to the Choice Act in 2017 by Trump. But all this time that he's claiming that he got Choice Act, somebody finally got through to him.
It didn't work. A weak form of choice. We had a very powerful form of choice, and our military's been great. They love me, and I love them. But Mattis was...
They are not happy with Trump right now. The military, if you look at Stars and Stripes, their latest poll, what was it, 38%? I'm not even going to bother looking it up. Again, so what?
Not a good leader. He didn't know how to lead. He didn't have a concept.
Mr. President, I know you guys didn't gel, but he is
yeah.
a great American, and he did give a lot to the country. You know that. But you guys
Well, I
didn't
know him
gel.
differently.
Yeah.
See, I know him as a person, and I just didn't think he did a good job. I mean, I don't say he's a good American or a bad American. I just say he didn't do a good job. I let him go. I told him, give me
What?
He is a great American.
form of choice. We had a very powerful form of choice, and our military's been great. They love me, and I love them. But Mattis was not a good leader. He didn't know how to lead. He didn't have a concept.
Not a good leader, but he was a general. He was a general. There's exceptions to that. I mean, for example, Flynn was fired as DNI because he was completely incompetent in the job, and then Trump hired him, and then fired him.
President, I know you guys didn't gel, but he is a great American, and he did give a lot to the country. You know that. But you guys
Well, I
didn't
know him
gel.
differently. See, I know him as a person, and I just didn't think he did a good job. I mean, I don't say he's a good American or a bad American.
Paul, I'm not. My only pick for the Stanley Cup right now is not Vegas, because the owner of Vegas is a big Trump supporter. So as long as Vegas doesn't win, I'll be happy. None of my teams are in the semis.
Can I just say he didn't do a good job? I let him go.
And Dr. Howard is a big Islanders fan, so I'll be happy if the Islanders advance.
Told him, give me a letter.
By the way, I haven't watched last night's game, so don't talk about last night's game.
And I got to find somebody else. And when we put together a team, that's when it happened, and we wiped out 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and he wasn't doing his job.
The Kurds did.
Okay. Mr. President, you mentioned Soleimani a couple of times. You did take him out. And on Twitter, you went on Twitter and you said, according to press reports, Iran may be planning an assassination or other attack against the United States in retaliation for killing terrorist leader Soleimani. There are reports of a plot or perhaps plots to assassinate a U.S. ambassador or more than that. Can you, I know you know things that you don't want to talk about because they are classified. They're big secrets. But you clearly...
He's almost imploring Trump not to talk about it. Don't. I have to ask this, but please, do not.
The news about the potential assassination of a U.S. ambassador is out there. What else can you tell us about this plot?
I'm not looking. I'll stop looking at the chat for a moment.
Well, let me tell you, before the plot, Iran is doing unbelievably badly. When I first came into office, there were 18 sites of confliction. They were in charge of all of them. They had $150 billion that was...
He used to say it was 14, but okay.
...stupidly given by Obama. I'll say Obama as opposed to Biden, because he
it was Iran's money.
Probably. Who knows if he had anything to do. Nobody's made worse decisions than Joe Biden, especially with foreign affairs. So they were literally a power. Now they're not a power. That doesn't mean they can't do little things, but that now they're not a power. They have no
little things. That's LIDDL apostrophe. No, E apostrophe.
Money. Their GDP's dropped 27%.
Ours has dropped 33.
27% in a short period of time. And if I win, they'll be unhappy, but they'll make a deal in the first month, and they'll make a very good deal for us in the first month. Obama made a horrible deal. Israel would have been gone. Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth. Obama made a terrible deal. I say Obama, Biden, but let's say Obama. He made a terrible deal. Gave him $150 billion, gave him $1.8 billion in cash, brought over by plane loads of cash, 1.8, and it was a short-term deal. It was just a short-term deal. It wasn't even a deal. 10
years.
And we can never let them have a nuclear weapon because they're crazy.
And the plot?
We can never let them.
Mr.
We
President,
can never
the plot?
let them have. As far as the plot, I said it. You didn't read the rest of the social media statement, but I said it. I said it very strongly. They'll pay 1,000 times if they do anything to anybody. And I might.
So we'll assassinate 1,000 Iranians? Why not a cajillion?
Be in that category, but they'll be in that category too. And we're all set. And if they do anything to anybody, they'll be hit 1,000 times harder than they hit us.
So, Mr. President, let's talk about, you've mentioned it a few times, but we'd love to know more about this. The signing ceremony at the White House today, what an historic moment, bringing three of the largest religions in the world together for a peace deal, the Abraham Accord, named after the patriarch of all three of the biggest religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And I know hundreds of people are going to be there. We've interviewed some people that are going to be there to watch this historic moment. And then you also said this is just the beginning. There will be future deals. What do you mean by that?
Well, we have a lot of countries that want to come in. So for years and years, these clowns that like to criticize me, well, we disagree. Well, they never got anything. They never got anything done. They've been fighting for peace in the Middle East. And when I came in, I was told it was an impossible thing. You could never get it done. And we went around the other way. Instead of dealing with the Palestinians, we took the money away. We used to give them $750 million, and they treat us badly. I said, why do they treat us badly? We give them all this money. Nobody ever did this. I took it away. They're going to make a deal. You watch. But we started dealing with other people, and everyone said this couldn't happen. And we made a deal with UAE, led by a man, Mohammed, who's a great leader, a great warrior. And we made a deal with UAE that
he keeps saying that the UAE, they're warriors for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why everyone from the UAE is a warrior.
Bahrain came in, and we have many others going to be coming in over a short period of time. And the Palestinians will ultimately come in too. And you're going to have peace in the Middle East without being stupid and shooting everybody and killing everybody and having blood all over the sand. So you'll have peace. And we're getting tremendous, I must tell you, Tom Friedman wrote a great piece in the New York Times.
Yeah, you told us that about 20 minutes ago.
Beyond a great piece. It was a 12 on a scale of 10. New York Times, of all, I mean, I must tell you, I respected them for doing it because I didn't think they had it in their genes to be able to write good about me. But they said it's an
who's using a Sharpie?
Unbelievable deal and a very important deal. So we have two countries. We have many others that we're negotiating with right now. And the Palestinians will be brought in because all of their supporters, all of the people that give them lots of money, are coming into the deal. So otherwise, they'll be left out in the cold.
Now, Mr. President, the reason why is because there is no flip side to this. What you did is reestablish relations with Israel, unlike the previous administration where they seemed fractured. And then you broke off relations with Iran, who are a terrorist nation. And then the other nation said, I see Iran as a threat too, and Israel is not a threat. And after they built some quiet trust, you asked them to come forward, and they have.
That's right.
There's no flip side to this, and that's why the New York Times doesn't deny it. Now, are we at the point where you're willing to sell the same weapons to these other countries that you sell to Israel?
Well, they're very wealthy countries for the most part. I mean, some are extraordinarily, like UAE, and they would like to buy some fighter jets, and I personally would have no problem with it. Some people do. They say, well, maybe they go to war. We have, selling our stuff is good for our country in one way.
Yeah, a lot of people say don't sell arms to the Arabs because they will go to war. That is what happens, especially when you're selling them fighter jets. Right now, what's keeping that it's too much to get into right now. But that explains now. If he's about to sell fighter jets to UAE and Bahrain, UAE is a different story, but Bahrain, I don't even want to get into it.
Israel
gets
upset.
I've learned about military equipment? You sell it today and it's obsolete tomorrow. All of a sudden you'll say, well, we have a new plane, a new and better plane. No, I know
that is not true. Countries all over the world are using planes that are 30, 40 years old, including the U.S.
the leader very well, Mohammed. I would have no problem in selling them the F-35. I would have absolutely no problem. I view it as an asset, not a liability. Plus, it's tremendous jobs at home. You're talking about a large number of planes, reasonably large number of planes, not the biggest. We're buying them by the hundreds. I mean, we've stocked up our arsenal like nobody thought it was possible. When I took over, our military was so depleted. It was an embarrassment. We had 40-year-old planes. We had 50-year-old planes. You know the story. The grandfather flew it, the son flew it, and the grandson flew it.
Yeah, because they work.
No, we have a military now. They didn't spend money on the military. Right. They gave up their money. They spent it on everything but the military. Obama doesn't like the military, and I can tell you, Biden doesn't like it. They fight me every time. It's the hardest thing. To get things approved for the military, they want all sorts of other things approved, which doesn't.
How are Biden and Obama fighting Trump every time on the military?
Our country, for the most part, no good.
Mr. President,
Trump literally stole money from the military to build the wall and from military families.
John Roberts, who stands on your front lawn every day, he's got our phone number just like you do.
That sounds creepy.
And he just texted, can you ask the president if his Middle East strategy is to cut deals with Arab countries to put pressure on the Palestinians to come to the table? In other words, surround the Palestinians with peace deals so they are the only ones not doing it. If John Roberts was sitting right here, he would have asked you that.
Well, he's very good, John. He's done a great job, and he's got what it takes.
Gonna pause for a second here. Here's Trump admitting he stole money from the military to build the wall.
I got money for everything, but when it came to the wall, not 10 cents. Not 10 cents. But we gave the military a lot of money, and we took it from the military, and we took it from here, we took it from there, and we had to go to court, and all of a sudden
we took the money from the military to build the wall. Because we gave so much to the military, he brags about that all the time, that it was okay. He felt okay about taking several $1 billion from the military that was set to build, schools for military children whose previous schools were flooded with sewerage so that the wall could be built. So so he's rebuilt everything.
And yes, you could say that's certainly a piece of it. The ultimate piece is it's good for us to have it. It's good for Israel, but certainly that's a piece of it. The Palestinians are very difficult to deal with, and we paid them a tremendous amount of money for many decades. We paid them money. It was almost like hostage-type money.
Humanitarian aid, but sure, hostage type.
It was bribe money, and it was foolish. And I took it away. I stepped a year and a half ago. I said, why are we paying when they say terrible things?
Who needs blocking, Danielle?
Things about us, death to America, all these things they said, and then we pay them $750 million. Yes, a lot of money. We pay them all this money, and they speak badly about us. I said, I'm going to end the money. Let them know we're not going to pay it anymore.
Lillian, school choice was on the Trump agenda in 2016, and he's done nothing. He promised he would get it done 4 years ago. Go watch the. I was just watching it the other day. Go watch the Everett, Washington rally in August of 2016. And you'll see there that he promises to get school choice. That's what he did. He lies. He lies all the time. Mexico is not paying for the wall. We do not have tremendous health care. Remember, it was going to be two weeks from the big surprise in 2017. Then it failed in the Senate. And that's when they had both the Senate and the House, and they couldn't get it passed in the Senate. Then it was going to be September of last year. Then it was going to be 2 weeks from the Chris Wallace interview this year. Then it was going to be at the end of August. I'll play that for you. We're now September 15th. September 15th. Lillian, stop being so gullible. The man is lying to you over and over and over and over. Here it is. This is him in August saying that he was going to make a big announcement on healthcare by the end of the month. This is a month ago he said this. Because remember, he said he told Chris Wallace 2 weeks. And so 2 weeks happened, and the press asked, when are we going to see this announcement on healthcare?
We'll be doing sometime during this month the healthcare plan, and I think that'll be before the end of the month, and I think it'll be very impressive to a lot of people.
Yeah, he lied. August came and went, and there was no announcement. You're a sucker, Lillian. You're a sucker. He keeps lying over and over and over. How many times do you have to be slapped across the face before you wake up? Trump is... I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I voted for either party before. I didn't vote for Hillary, but I do not like being lied to. And Trump lies to us multiple times. That's what I'm doing here. I would have nothing to do. This would not be called the lie stream if Trump wasn't a constant liar. Wow. We need to get rid of Lillian. All right, Lillian will be gone. Lillian, you can still chat in the. Tell you what, you can still chat there on the what do you want, Twitter. But you're not going to be allowed into the comment window over there. Folks, if you want to comment with us, The best way to do that is to go to youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. That's the main chat room, youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. And you'll also be several seconds ahead there, so you're able to chat more quickly. And your comments will make more sense than if you're watching on Twitter. Twitter still works, but it's a few seconds behind sometimes. Every once in a while it's ahead, but trust me. Usually youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. If you miss that, it's going to be scrolling by down below.
We didn't pay it anymore. But other countries would pay, other very rich countries would pay, but we don't pay it anymore. Let me tell you, when we start getting the rest of the countries in, they will come to the table 100%. They're actually getting to a point where they're going to want to make a deal. They won't say that outwardly. They want to make a deal, okay? And I'll tell you...
I don't know why no one is talking about it. This administration's the Hamas, the Palestinian group, has made a deal. They've made a deal. If Hamas can make a deal, this should be a no-brainer. I don't know why they're not exploring that. But Jared and Trump are not involved in that deal. And they don't want to talk about it.
Who else wants to make a deal? Iran wants to make a deal. If I win, they're hoping that Biden...
He's been claiming that Iran has wanted to make a deal now for months and months.
...gets in. And China is hoping that Biden gets in. Russia, probably they want Biden because, look, nobody...
No, Russia definitely wants Trump.
It's been tougher to Russia than me. Nobody. With the pipeline, with our big military...
He hasn't done anything on the pipeline. That's nonsense. Oh, he keeps telling people that he pointed out that the pipeline existed. Like the Germans, the Polacks, the Polish. I didn't know that Polak was a derogatory term until like a year and a half ago. I just heard it my whole life. And here's the story behind that. I was sitting there putting on my blackface when a Polish friend of mine said, "Hey, did you..." No, seriously, I didn't know.
We've become...
Anyway, the Russians knew about the pipeline, so did the Germans, and so did everybody in between.
The number one energy country in the world. We're more than we're totally energy independent now.
We are the number one energy country in the world. We are not energy independent. It's two separate things.
What I've done with Russia, and remember, Obama gave them pillows, and I gave them tank busters.
Obama did not give them pillows.
There's a big difference with Ukraine. So I think Russia would like it too. But here's the thing. They want to wait till after this election because there's nobody in the world that China would rather negotiate than Sleepy Joe. I've taken in billions of dollars. Take a look at what Obama did with China. They gave our country away. They were giving our country away. If they got in, if this crew got in, the same basic crew, but they've gone far left, much further left than they ever were. That's why this is the most important election that we've ever had. If they ever got in, China would own the USA. China would.
They were there for 8 years, and China does not own the USA.
Own them. The other thing is Iran.
We do have record trade deficits with China, if that counts.
Iran really wants Biden, maybe even as much as China. But they have to give it a shot. You know, John Kerry's been telling them, wait till after the election because maybe you'll...
I wish the MyPillow guy would give them some of that miracle cure he's got going on.
...deal with Biden instead of Trump. Well, there's no way they're ever going to have a nuclear weapon, and Biden would probably give them that right. And they're ready to make a deal. They're doing so...
So, the Obama-Biden administration negotiated the Iran nuclear deal to keep nuclear weapons out of Iran and to have constant inspections making sure that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. And Trump supposes that Biden would give them a nuclear weapon. I mean, it only makes sense. Think about it, libtard.
Badly, where their GDP went so far down. Nobody's ever seen anything like... I think it's a record. And when I took...
No, China's GDP was 6.1%, which is right on target. They wanted between 6 and 6.5. Our GDP in the last quarter, again, 2.3.
Over, that was a powerful, wealthy nation. Now they're because of all the sanctions and everything else, they're dying to make a deal, but they want to see what happens in the election. I said,
he might have been talking about Iran. Sorry, I was doing something. He might be talking about Iran right here. Actually, let's go back and check just to make sure. Sorry.
John Kerry's been telling him, wait till after the election because maybe you'll deal with Biden instead of Trump. Well, there's no way they're ever going to have a nuclear weapon, and Biden would probably give them that right. And they're ready to make a deal. They're doing so badly where their GDP went so far down. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. I think it's a record.
YouTube.com/KevinLeeFather.
And when I took over, that was a powerful, wealthy nation. Now they're done because of all the sanctions and everything else. They're dying to make a deal, but they want to see what happens in the election. I said, you should wait. Why don't you wait till see what happens in the election? We'll have a deal with Iran within 1 month, and it'll be a really good deal for the United States because they have no choice. But if Biden got in, they'll take our guts out.
Yeah.
What?
Mr. President, I think you broke a lot of news this morning. Thank you very much for starting your day with Fox and Friends.
They'll take our guts out. Yeah. Oh dear, it just gets better. Hold on, I'm just putting my YouTube address into Twitter Periscope, and it's not working. So what I'll do is on Twitter, I will put it underneath. I'll put it as a reply, youtube.com/KevinLeeFather, to this broadcast. So if you click through from my page to get here, you can go back to that from Periscope back to Twitter, look at the replies, and you'll see the reply that says youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. I hope that can ask. If you just search YouTube, Kevin Lee Father, all one word, you'll find me. I'm the only Kevin Lee Father on there.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been great.
We'll do it every week. We're going to do it every week.
Great.
I look forward to it. Yeah, we're going to do it every.
Gonna do it every week. Here's the president later in the day.
Joining up, and as you know, we don't make payments to them. We're paying a lot of money to the Palestinians every year, and we were not being treated properly. They were not saying nice things for many years, and nobody's ever done this before, but I stopped payment. It's a term that's used for a lot of things. It's called we stop payment, because if they're not going to respect us or if they're not going to speak well of us, we're not going to be involved. They, I think, are seeing what's happening, and we've been given very strong signals that they'd like to be a part of what's happening. So I think we'll see the Palestinians at some point, but before we see the Palestinians, we'll see other very important countries come into this transaction. They'd be here today, frankly, if we wanted them. So I think that you'll see some very great things happening in the Middle East. You're going to have peace without blood in the sand. For years, you had blood in the sand. That's all you had, blood in the sand. You got nothing for it. They got nothing for it. Now you're going to have peace, and it'll be a real peace. And you have the most powerful countries, as an example. It's a great warring nation, if it wants to be, with a tremendous military, a powerful military, and they're really great warriors. And it was very important that we had you.
What is up to the great warriors? What if they want to be? If they want to.
We've had great talks, as you know, with Saudi Arabia, with the king, and I think he's going to be terrific. I think he's got a very open mind. But I've had very personal talks with the king and the crown prince, and I think their mind is very open. They're very much. I think they're going to come along really well. So it's an honor to be here. We're going to have a ceremony outside. And I just want to say that being the first, because you were the first, being the first was very important that you be the first for us. Because you're leading a path, you're leading a way, and it's something that people were very surprised at. I will say that even the biggest optimists were shocked when they heard about this transaction, and shocked in a very positive way. So I want to thank you for making it all happen. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Iran has been very critical, as you know, of this agreement, and we've seen some security incidents in the Middle East over the last 24 hours. Will you be extending any security guarantees to those who have made
Well, we're working together, and we'll see what happens with Iran. I would say right after the election, within a period of a week, maybe a month, but within a period of a very short period, within maybe, literally a very short time, you'll have Iran coming back and saying, let's get this whole thing worked out. Iran is suffering. Iran, unfortunately, I don't want them to suffer, but their economy is tanked. They have a minus 27 GDP. Nobody's ever heard of a number like that.
We just had a 33, minus 33.
I think it's perhaps a record setter, but they're down.
It's minus 33 is the new record. That was us.
Down 27%.
To be fair, there's been countries that have had much, much worse GDPs over time. Not too long ago, what was it? Argentina's, was it negative 600? Argentina just crashed at one point, but many, many countries have gone through that.
And I think they want to make a deal, but they'd much rather deal with sleepy Joe Biden than me because, we're going to make a deal, and I'll make a very fair deal. And I even suggested wait till after the election. Make yourself feel good. Wait till after the election. So we'll see what happens with Iran. I think Iran...
Yeah, his makeup is something special today.
...will end up being a part of a very large and very, very difficult part of the world. Look, the Middle East has been a very complex, very difficult part of the world.
How is it large? Okay.
We're making it easier. We're making it a lot simpler. But I think right after our election, the American election, if we win, we'll have a deal with Iran. I think we're going to make a deal with Iran.
Mr. President, when do you expect other countries in the region to follow the UAE's lead and normalize relations with Israel? And which countries are you targeting that?
Well, I don't want to say the countries, but we have many of them, and they'll be coming along rather rapidly, some before the election perhaps, but a lot of them after. And in that case, they won't be waiting for the election. It's just a question of getting it done. They are very, very excited about being a part of this. Some would have been a part of it today, in my opinion, if we wanted to, but we didn't want to press it. And we wanted to give you the dignity and respect because you were the first one. You were the first one. And we have Bahrain here, as you know, and Bahrain is signing today also. But we have a list of who's who. They'll be signing the deal. And it's an incredible thing that's happening. It's come a long way. Israel's come a long way, and the Middle East has come a long way. And it's really good for everyone. It's not just...
a list of who's who Middle Eastern countries. That's a lot of Americans will be asking that. Who's what? Where? But UAE.
Israel.
Yemen. Yeah, I agree with it too. Yemen.
Good for everybody. It's great for your country. Great for your country. And
saw a poll several years back that 78% of Americans didn't know the difference between Iran and Iraq.
So it's an honor to be here. It's been so well received all over the world. It's been a real honor. Thank you very much. We'll see you outside. Thank you.
Is that it?
So
that was super quick. I thought there was further coverage of that later on. Maybe they went back. Yeah, here's something. Hold on.
That's nice, isn't it, though?
Okay, now it's Netanyahu.
I want to show it. Can I show this?
Sure. I would love that. This was a special token of affection given by myself and the First Lady to Prime Minister and the First Lady of Israel. And it's a...
Gave them a key to the White House?
Yeah, key. We call it a key to the White House, and it's a key to our country and to our hearts. And you've been...
The guy who's been indicted for corruption is that guy. You gave him the key to our country.
An amazing leader for a long period of time, and this is, in many respects, the big day, because this is something that's very special. And we just left UAE and Bahrain. We're going to meet outside in a ceremony, and it's just a very important event, and it's an honor to have you with us, baby. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I have said, and this is true, that you have the key to the hearts of the people of Israel because of all the great things you've done for the Jewish state and the Jewish people. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. And we look forward to being outside. Yes, please. Any questions?
This is a great event, and these are tremendous achievements. We know that Israel is getting a lot. What is Israel giving back?
This is the Israeli press that wants to chip away at this.
The question was, Israel's getting a lot. What is Israel giving back? And Netanyahu criticizes them, saying that they are trying to chip away. It's a pretty easy question. Well, Israel is giving, we're having economic relations, and we don't think we're giving things. We think everyone is gaining. It's a win-win for all the countries involved, and that's why we're here. Well, I'm in charge. It's because I'm not temperate.
Well, I think what really Israel is getting, I think what Israel is getting, and what we're all getting, but what Israel is getting more than anything else is peace. They're going to have peace. As you know, UAE, United Arab Emirates, is a great warring nation, a very powerful nation in the region, and
CENTCOM? Is this about CENTCOM? Like, what is there something I don't know about UAE, guys, that they're a great warring nation? I mean, apart from 20,000 with the Tigris and Euphrates, so what is going on? Why does he keep saying that? Does anybody know?
They very much wanted to do this. Mohammed's a tremendous leader, like Bibi is a tremendous leader, and it was important to have them.
Wow, I just looked at the YouTube feed right now, guys, and you're right. Trump, it does not know what to do with Trump's coloring. The compression, the algorithm that compresses the colors and shoots it up on the YouTube, it has no idea what color Trump is right now. And so it's going with, I think pumpkin spice is the best way to describe it, Todd. That is ridiculous. It's much, much worse than it regularly is.
First, very early, and the relationship is fantastic, and a lot of people are surprised to see it. And as you know, we have Bahrain, and we have many nations ready to follow. Many nations. No, not now. I won't. But you'll see. We'll be signing up other nations, and these are very strong agreements. These are very strong. This is really peace. This is serious peace. And so I think what Israel gets, the most important thing that they're getting by far is peace. Excuse me, one at a time, please.
Take the other one.
Who? Which one?
Well, actually, see the one in the white. The one in the white.
In the white. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is from Channel 20. Is it possible to know which countries will be following the NRA?
Well, we'll be announced. Yeah, we're very far down the road with about 5 additional countries. Frankly, I think we could have had them here today. We thought out of respect, UAE, they deserved it. And Bahrain came immediately after. They really wanted to do it. But we'll have at least 5 or 6 countries coming along very quickly. And we're already talking to them. And they want to see peace. You know, they've been fighting for a long time. They're tired. They're warring countries, but they're tired. They're tired of fighting. And so you're going to be seeing further announcements. This is, it's a very big day. I guess they said, so there were 2 countries over a 72-year period. And we did an additional 2, and these are great countries. We did an additional 2 in 1 month.
29 days.
But you're going to see.
They're warring countries like Montenegro with their giant army. I warned about Montenegro years ago, if you remember, on the Tucker Carlson show. The Montenegrins are just.
You're going to see a lot of very great activity. It's going to be peace in the Middle East. Say it.
Will you promote the F-35 deal even if there's no objective?
Yeah, we're gonna work that out. We'll work that out. That's
okay.
That's
so this
gonna be an easy thing.
This is what this is about. This is about selling F-35s to Bahrain. They want in. They want to become air powers in the Middle East. So great, just great. Let's take away our air superiority in the Middle East. What could possibly go wrong?
And we've fought with UAE 4 times, 4 different wars. They've been very, very loyal to us, and we have
alongside. The phrase is alongside. We have not fought with UAE.
A better relationship with them now than we ever had in the past. In fact, in the past it was very strained. We have a very good relationship with them. All of that works out. That's going to be very easy to work out.
So Israel feel less isolated today than they were this last week? And Mr. Prime Minister, maybe you can answer that question as well.
Well, I think Israel's not isolated anymore because I can tell you we have the 2 countries, plus you had an additional 2, as you know, from many, many years ago. And now you...
On the left side of the screen, you can see Ivanka talking to Kevin McCarthy without masks. Devin Nunes is there. There's Mike Pence. Bill Barr, no mask.
You have a situation where many of the countries, and I can actually say most of the countries, but many of the countries in the Middle East want to sign this deal. And I think when that happens, hopefully after the election, because I really believe Iran wants to make a deal. They've had a very tough time. Their GDP is down 27% because of the sanctions and all of the other things. And I don't want that to happen. I want Iran to be a great country, a great nation. I think that would be a wonderful thing. But I think, and I've even said that, I've said that to representatives of them, you should wait to see the election first. There is nothing they or China or probably Russia would like better than to have Sleepy Joe Biden become the president.
No, Russia prefers Trump. This has been established by the Republican Senate Committee, by the DNI, by the joint forces of the U.S. intelligence agencies has declared. There's no doubt about this at all. The Mueller report, I know he thinks it was a giant hoax, but the first 200 pages are all about Russia trying to get Trump elected. He's admitted himself that Russia helped him get elected.
If Sleepy Joe won, they would own the United States, all of them. China would own the United States.
And all of them.
I told all of them.
Is it going to be like a joint agreement? The joint operation agreement of the United States? I
said, wait till after the election. But after the election, we have to make a better deal. I do say that. We're going to make a better deal than we would have. But with Iran, they certainly should wait till after the election because, frankly, if Biden wins, they'll make a much better deal. But I'm going to make a good deal with Iran. I'm going to make a deal that's great for Iran. It's going to get them back. We're going to help them in every way possible. And Iran will be very happy. Iran will be very rich.
Mr. President, will you be releasing your taxes today?
And very quickly. But
I'm just saying.
I think they should wait till after the election. You understand what I mean by that? Because a dream for those countries would be Sleepy Joe.
Do you believe you will also broker a deal with the Palestinians?
Say it?
Do you believe you will also broker a deal with the Palestinians?
Yeah, I think they come along, and they're already, obviously, we speak to them. They've come a long way. We used to pay them $750 million a year when I got here, and I said to people that negotiated with them before, why did you pay when they treat the United States with such disrespect? They speak so badly. Death to America, death to Israel. I said, we give them $750 million a year. I said, why didn't somebody cut off those payments? Well, we didn't think it would be appropriate. I said, well, I do. And I cut off the payments to them, as you know. But other countries give them money. You're dealing with very rich countries. And these countries are now all signing with us. They'll all be signed with us, all of them. I spoke with the King of Saudi Arabia. We had a great conversation. And I think positive things will happen there, too. He's a great gentleman. And the Crown Prince, we spoke with the Crown Prince. So we've made tremendous strides. And this is peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand. I say it. Right now, it's been blood all over the sand for decades and decades and decades. That's all they do is they fight and kill people, and nobody gets anything. And this is strong peace, really strong peace. And it's a different way. We went in the back door, but I call it going in the very smart door. We went in the smart door, and we're getting people in the Palestinian.
Melania, would it be okay tonight if I go in through the smart door?
Will absolutely be a member. I don't say that with any...
I mean, since you've got blood coming out of your wherever.
Bravado. I just tell you the Palestinians will be a member at the right time. At the right time.
I'm here for my amusement, people. My amusement.
Will they have state of themselves and your peace?
We're working a deal. We are talking to the Palestinians. At the right time, they'll be joining too.
And as long as you're president, is annexation off the table? Is that something
we don't want to talk about that right now, but that's working out very well and very fair and very good for the people that are coming in and for Israel. And again, Israel wants peace, and they're a great warring nation if they have to be. You see that. They have the best equipment. They have the best of everything, but they don't want this.
American.
After all of these years, even Bibi gets tired of war. But they've been, look, they're a strong nation, a strong power, a strong military nation, but they want to get on with their lives. Israel wants peace. They really want peace. And I give this gentleman a great deal of credit. He's done a great job.
Thank you. Mr. President, I heard a question from one of the people here. Does Israel feel isolated? Heck no. We're We're breaking out to the entire world because we have a strong free economy, because we have a strong military, because we have a strong relationship.
Literally went to lockdown like 3 days ago. People in Israel can't go more than 1,000 feet from their houses, but yeah, they don't feel isolated. I get what they're saying. But anyway, Israel is doing the right thing. They're having a resurgence of coronavirus. They're locking that shit down again. And none of this like, oh, don't go to a movie like here in the States. Yeah, make sure that you're wearing a mask when you're getting your tattoo. No, they are locked down seriously. Everybody stay home. If you have to walk your dog, take them outside 3 times a day max, 100 yards. They say meters. I'm making that up. I don't know if there's a maximum of how many times you can walk your dog. But anyway, yeah, no, they're really locking things down again. And it will work. It will work because we know now. We know now there's been enough countries on the planet doing enough things that we figure out what works. Guess what we're not doing?
Relationship with the President of the United States and the American people. And I can tell you that we have a strong relationship throughout the Middle East. The President intimated how many countries are waiting to join this circle of peace. You know, Israel doesn't feel isolated at all. It's enjoying the greatest diplomatic triumph of its history. I think the people who feel isolated are the tyrants of Tehran because of the pressure that the president has applied on them, because of the resistance to this bad Iran deal. They are under pressure. And, you know, I hope they'll all come around. I hope everyone will come around to the circle of peace. But no, we don't feel isolated at all. Quite the contrary.
Keep in mind that the JSOC, the Joint Operational Agreement of Iran, was approved by first off, all 32 members in it. European Union, China, the Russians, Iran, of course, the states, all 5 members of the Security Council, of the UN Security Council, approved the Joint Operation Agreement in Iran, the nuclear deal with Iran. Trump is the only country that we pulled out. And now that some people in his administration have said we could possibly get back in. And that would be the arrangement. It's kind of like NAFTA. We're going to tear this thing up. And then we're just going to write it again, change a little bit at the end there. We'll have Trump sign it. And now it's NUFTA.
I would say this, there's less isolation right now for Israel than there's ever been. I mean, today they would be less isolated than ever been. I want to just thank your great ambassador, Ron. Thank you very much. How do you feel about isolation? I think you're starting to see the light, huh?
I can imagine what will happen when everyone's courting Israel if this is what isolation looks like.
No, it's good. We love Israel, and I'll tell you what, I have great respect for the countries that have stepped up so beautifully. And you're going to see that in a little while. We're having a ceremony, and thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.
Let's go, guys. Let's go, Chris.
Okay, and then was there any more of that? Did he sit down with anybody else? No, it looks like he's showing people around on the lawn now. Let's find helicopter moments, and we will be out of here. I'm not even sure when helicopter moments happen, so what we'll do is we'll go to the Caspan and see if they covered it there. Really? And there's Biden now speaking. Let's tune in Biden while I'm looking for this. We'll hit Biden live. We'll also check to see if anybody else is showing Biden, if the press is covering it. Go to live. See, it's interesting. This morning, Fox News was the only media station covering it. It usually gives me a live look here, but it's not. We'll go back to here and we'll get this going.
I just want a speech that really leads us to a better future.
Trabajamos tan duro, pero juntos.
About them, and that's what I would advise down.
Okay, so he is not live yet. Let's go back. Okay, now it's giving it to me, and of course none of them are covering it because he's not live yet, Kevin. Let's find helicopter moments. Let's go back here to Caspan and go down and say Trump departs White House. Here it is. They have it. Here are your helicopter moments, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Hi, Colleen. Colleen! Exclamation point, exclamation point. Yeah, it worked out really, really sweet for Carter, HB. I hope that works out for Trump, too. So I don't have access to it right now, but I don't know if you guys have heard the new Woodward tapes from today. I should be able to pull them up. Let me just look for... because... I can find it, but it doesn't matter. Basically, what Woodward's saying is, it's COVID. This election's going to be between you and Biden and COVID. That's what people are concerned. Oh, what about the economy? Well, not so much, sir. Really, it's going to be COVID. Because COVID's still here. And Trump says, like, well, yeah. Like, he's just so tired of it. I will find it to play it. But in the meantime, I'm going to pull this over here so I can look for it while you guys do this.
I just want a speech that really leads us to a better future.
Trabajamos tan duro, pero juntos somos.
Okay. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just stands there motionless. There it is.
Hello, everybody. So we're going to Philadelphia. We're coming back in a little while, but we'll be up there for a short time. We look forward to it.
What's Philadelphia? Is he doing a fundraiser?
The economic world having to do with our country is doing unbelievably well. The numbers are good. And you'll see some very good numbers, I think, released just prior to November 3rd for the third quarter. I think there'll be fantastic numbers. Do you have any questions?
U.S. death toll now rising.
So with the suburban voter, we're taking care of them. It's safety. It's about safety. It's about law and order. It's also about getting regulations where housing is forced into a suburban neighborhood. And, that's the American dream. And by the way, minorities want that. Everybody wants that. They want the American dream. Because when you think of suburbia, it's about 30%, close to 30% minority. Some people say more than that. They want their American dream. They don't want to have it be obliterated. So we've ended the rule, the regulation, as you know. And if Biden got in, he'd put it right back, except they'd double it up. And they say that Cory Booker would be in charge. He's the one that's pushing it. We're not going to...
They have not said that. Trump has said that. Cory Booker has said, I have no idea what he's talking about. No one has talked to me about, yes, I am black, but no, that's not my thing. No one's asked me to do that. But he's saying Cory Booker, because, black guy.
To do that, we're not going to destroy suburbia. And just basically, I think we have a very strong, very powerful law and order campaign. We are endorsed by almost every major police group. Believe it or not, it's not easy for them to do. The Chicago police just endorsed us. You heard that. New York City, New York's finest endorsed us. We have Ohio, we have Florida, we have everybody. And we just want safe streets. We don't want to have a Portland. We don't want to have what happened in Seattle that we took care of by saying we're going in, and they immediately gave up. We don't want to have that. We want to have safety. We don't want to have...
We took care of it by saying that we were going in, which never happened. And then the Seattle police, they sent in 100 officers and cleared the place out. It was 3 blocks long. We've talked about this.
Chicago, where people get shot and people get killed. We don't want to have that. Those are all Democrat-run cities, and we don't want to have that.
And remember, in 2017, as soon as he came into office, he started saying the mayor better take care of Chicago or we're going to send people in. Here we are 4 years later. American carnage is still happening. And according to him, worse than ever. It's too bad he's not president.
Yesterday in California, he said, I don't think the science knows, actually, when it comes to climate change. Can you explain what you mean by that? And, sir, do you believe in climate change?
Well, I'm a big believer in forest management. If you notice the gentleman at the table, the professor, he's a big believer in what I said. He came up to me and said, sir, you happen to be right. When you let the floors of the forest build up with leaves and build up with broken timber that's dry as a bone, you're causing forest fires. That's the problem. You're causing forest fires. So I believe in a lot of things, but I definitely...
What's the thing you're causing? Hold on.
Timber that's dry as a bone. You're causing forest fires. That's the problem. You're causing forest fires. So I believe in
fast.
Things, but I definitely
You're calling fast. I want to hear more about this forest fires.
Timber that's dry as a bone. You're causing forest fires. That's the problem. You're causing forest fires. So
I... Fast.
I believe in a lot of things, but I definitely believe in forest management. Plus, you have to have some breaks. If you don't have breaks in between, so that when you do...
You do not want your brakes like this. That is not how you want your forest brakes to look. You want your forest brakes to look like this, and you want them all 50 yards, 100 yards, or whatever it happens to be. But this would be bad. This creates elbows and a chance for the fire to diagonally jump.
You have areas, you're not going to lose 250,000 acres every time of beautiful forest. So, and I think, frankly, the governor, I get along with him very well. I think the governor agrees with me. Yeah, please.
I think global warming is a hoax or not. You just think that it will cool down.
Well, I think you have...
The question is, do you think global warming is a hoax?
People that don't want to address China, they don't want to address Russia, they don't want to address India, they don't want to address these countries that haven't done very much for global warming for...
Do you think global warming is a hoax? Well, here's the thing. You have people who don't want to address China. It's a yes or a no. At what town hall? Tell me what town hall we're talking about, Danielle.
The carbon footprint for any of the things that they talk about. You have a lot of countries that, you know, we're supposed to do it, and we do it. By the way, our carbon numbers right now are very low. They're really low. Our water, our air, I want it to be clean. I want it to be...
Our carbon numbers are not low. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. They've been slightly better in 2019 by about almost 2.3%, but really low. Maybe because the economy slowed right down. They are lower than they were last year, or they should be. No one... I mean, yes, they have to be. If you've been out in traffic lately, you know that there's... Depending on where you are.
Immaculate. I want it to be crystal. I want it to be absolutely clean, and that's what we're doing. But we, at the same time, don't want to drive our businesses out because they can't compete. If you look at China with all of the plants they have, you just take a look at China and look at what's coming out of China. Take a look at our oceans and see who's dumping in our oceans. It's not us. It's not us. And I think that's something people should be addressing, Steve.
But that's the question was, do you think climate change is a hoax? 2020 special events on ABC News Live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Whose town hall is it? Is it Joe Biden's or whose is it? No, I see it. Thanks, Danielle. I see it. Whose town hall?
What are they going to do? Well, then we'll have to do something about the WTO because they've let China get away with murder. They consider China to be a developing nation. And by as a developing nation, did this just happen, Steve? Just happened? All right. Well, we'll take a look at that. But I'm not a big fan of the WTO. That I can tell you right now. Maybe they did us a big favor.
What do you think of the Oracle deal?
Well, we're going to make a decision pretty soon. I have a high respect for Larry Ellison. He's somebody I know. He's been really a terrific guy for a long time. So we're going to take a look. I heard they're very close to a deal, and we'll be looking at the TikTok deal with Larry Ellison and Oracle.
Why did you suppose your former aide, General Mattis, General Kelly, have been reluctant?
Okay, so it's called The President and the People, a 2020 special event. I don't get it until 9 p.m. I'll see if I can get it some other way. Let me... Undecided voters both in person and virtually ask President Trump their important questions. Thank you so much for telling me about this. I had no idea this was a thing yet. Thank you. So yeah, we'll be talking about that.
Very different, and you can see that with the deal we made today. I'm not a big fan of General Mattis, as you know. I think he's a very overrated general, but regardless, I guess he's a nice guy. He just didn't do the job for me. He didn't do the ISIS job after we got rid of him. It worked out very well. We took over 100% of the caliphate. But I do things differently. If you listen to the three world leaders today, and these are highly respected leaders and countries, UAE is a tremendously respected warrior. I mean, they're warriors. They're a very strong, respected country. If you listen to what they said, nobody thought of the plan that I thought of. And it's going around the back door. I call it going around the smart door and coming in a different way. And we have many other countries going to be joining us, and they're going to be joining us soon. We'll have, I think 7 or 8 or 9. We're going to have a lot of other countries joining us, including the big ones. We already have the big one, but including the big ones. And this is not something that the people that you mentioned would be able to be doing. And it's not something that my critics thought was possible. And now they say, wow, that was a good idea. I will say, it's gotten rave reviews, even from the New York Times and Tom Friedman and a lot of people that don't like Donald Trump too much. They've given it literally rave reviews. So this is one deal, but we have many others like this. Look, our country's been stagnant for many years. We did nothing but give our money away, give our wealth away, and give our
Not true.
jobs away. And now we stopped that. We stopped that 3.5 years ago.
Fuck. We did it, guys. This just clicked over a few minutes ago. Let me do this. $200,142 dead Americans. 200,142. $200,142 dead Americans. We got the virus the same day as South Korea. They tested. $367 dead South Koreans.
I spoke with the King of Saudi Arabia. At the right time, I do think they will come in. Yes, I do. This is a very big and very historic moment, and I think everyone agrees to that. But we'll have other countries coming in fairly rapidly.
Indoor rallies are safe.
So I think you have a governor of Nevada who wouldn't let us use outside venues. You know, the night before, I think you were there, we had a massive crowd, and it was an outside venue.
Yeah, so he would let you use outside venues.
Well, we had other outside venues the next day in Las Vegas. The governor made it impossible for the people that do it, our people, the people that do it.
The governor, by the way, denies that they manipulate or they did anything to stop them from having outside venues. They did explain to them it's a maximum of 50 people at a gathering. That didn't stop them the day before near Reno. Reno and Las Vegas are both in Nevada.
And forced us into an indoor rally. We didn't want an indoor rally, but we did an indoor rally. They spaced as much as they could have, but the governor could have...
They spaced as much as they could have. No, they did not. You guys have seen the pictures.
Solved the problem. All he had to do is let us use one of the outdoor venues. Plus, they had 25,000.
And at the outdoor venues, they were not spaced.
People outside of the venue.
Yeah, you guys have seen the people running to get smashed. No, all nonsense.
Venue that couldn't get in. But it's very interesting. When they have protests, that's okay. When they have violence, when they have anarchists, and they have agitators, that's okay. The governor of Nevada should not be in charge of ballots. The ballots...
The guy, I saw the governor the other day on one of the channels saying, yeah, no, we don't like people making crowds anywhere, even on the strip. Once they're outside the casinos, there's nobody to enforce it. We're not going to take our police force and use it to enforce social distancing. You know, the police have other things to do.
Are going to be a disaster for our country. And the governor of Nevada should not be in charge of ballots. when he won't
The governor of Nevada is not in Nevada. Fuck me.
let us meet and congregate and do really a friendly protest, he should not be in charge of the ballots. You're going to have problems with the ballots like no.
You know, the way protests work. You all get together in a big conference, a ballroom somewhere, and have a seat next to each other and have a friendly protest. You know, the friendly kinds. Hey, we're upset with you. Is Jamie home? Hey, Jamie, how you doing? Have you lost weight? Anyway, we're protesting. It's a friendly protest, though. So, whenever you've got time, it would be great if we could get to... This is a sign, by the way. I'm holding a sign. I'm not churning butter and or doing the thing with... Oh, Trump.
Nobody's ever seen before.
Is that it? Thumbs up? Walking away? Yep. Oh, another thumbs up. You ever notice that he never actually gives a thumbs up? It's always crooked. It's always... So one human being who can't give a thumbs up. Up, there they go. Where are they off to? I don't know what they're doing in... Oh, the town hall must be in Philly, I guess. There's KK Macaroni standing in the middle of the field. Is Trump waiting on Melania? Yeah, I guess Melania's going to come too. Okay, I don't know what happened there. So that's the helicopter moments. And at some point, there will be a town hall tonight. Thank you, Colleen, for letting us know. It wasn't on the presidential schedule. Or maybe it was and I didn't see it. So, I will see if I can figure out a way to make that happen for 6 o'clock. I don't know if I can. And then we'll go from there. Did you at me his schedule? When did you at me his schedule? I don't know why you do that. I don't know, Stephanie. I haven't seen it. Are you DMing me that, or what are you doing? Anyway, yeah, bye, Rich, and bye, everybody else. You're right, 0766314879. The Secretary of State is in charge of ballots. That's the way it works in every state. And you guys can't tell, but this room is roasting right now, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. And we'll see you later this evening, maybe, if I can get that ABC up. I don't know if I want to do it at 9 p.m. because that's Eastern time, or 9 p.m. on the Eastern coast is midnight. It's better to save it for tomorrow, but we'll do what we can. And we'll see you later on the live stream.
Kevin, is this helpful to Joe Biden?
Wait, what? My mistake. It was on the presidential schedule for today. ABC News Town Hall event at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia. So that's my bad. You know what I was doing? I was looking at the poll report. It's closed to the press. My bad. I should know better than that. But the poll report often tells us stuff we don't see on the presidential schedule. So anyway.